23?
23.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Welcome back. Another week. Tickets to Gamehendge, episode 23. It is early January. The world is going to crap, but at least we have Phish to keep us happy. So for those of you that are regular listeners, we record this every Tuesday morning and typically post it Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon. It's been 6 days since all the craziness at the Capitol, and it feels like it was months ago, but we're not going to talk about that other than the one dude that was at the front of the line with the horns and the fur costume and the face paint. I was like, man, that guy belongs at a Phish show. That guy's totally a wook. Like, let's be real. Probably not a fan, but anyway.
I'm pretty sure there was lots of memes created with that guy, and I'm sure one or two of them might have had something to do with Phish.
One or two. Holy snap and crap. I saw it. Like, I don't even know how many I saw. The other one about the dude holding the lectern and all that shit. It's just, I don't know. We feel for you, our American friends. It's pretty shitty what's going on.
Whatever, man. Listen, this is political as I'm going to get today. It's not as violent in Canada. Let's make no mistake. It's just as messed up here in Canada.
Sure. Yep. I won't argue with that. We're really not that different. Just have different accents.
That's it.
So let's kick it off with some fun. I really, really like this post. And I've had this with many songs in my life where you think you know the lyrics, but you don't exactly know the lyrics. And probably the most famous song that I think applies to that, not Phish, his famous song is... What do you think?
Not Phish?
Yeah, the most famous misquoted lyric. What do you think it is?
Do I know the song?
And yeah, sure you would. And this is me just making it up based on what I know. I don't know if this is an official fact, but I think it's one of the most misquoted or jokingly misquoted songs.
Is it the Bee Gees?
Purple Haze, excuse me while I kiss this guy, is what a lot of people think the line is. Instead of excuse me while I kiss the sky. Excuse me while I kiss this guy. We talked about, we think it's very much on purpose in The Moment Dance. The official lyrics are, the moment ends, though I feel wins. Ends, E-N-D-S, but I hear the moment dance. So a user, great name, user Critical Beaver posted wrong lyrics thread, and the only or the little part underneath that is, the lotion is love. So read a couple of these. This is the first one. I love it. I come from Taco Mountain, baby. It's pretty good. This is one, I read it and I went, huh? Why is that wrong? And I had to look at the lyrics. And the line is, you got your night shades on.
Nice shades, man. Nice. They look nice.
Yes. I always thought it was, you got your night shades on. I just misheard it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm thinking of... Corey Hart, wear my sunglasses at night.
Dude, that's not even the context of this. That's not even within the context of the song.
I know, but you and I have talked before about the way I listen to music. I almost don't hear the words of the lyrics. Like, I don't connect the poetry, for lack of a better term, or the story until many, many listens after. Yeah. I almost hear lyrics as if there are other instruments and percussion and how they fit into the song. And then I come back and I'll go, oh shit, that's what that song means. That's how I listen. So do you tend to pay attention to lyrics the first time you hear a song?
No,
like,
I pay attention to, I mean, I think it's a little bit different for every song, but yeah, I mean, the voice is like the melody, right? So it's like an instrument playing the melody is how I hear it first. And then I go back and I listen to, let me guess, Sample in a Jar is on there. A legume.
I haven't seen Dancing it yet, but that is a tricky one. That's one that I remember on the way home from the show last year, we were in Starbucks and you looked up the lyrics on that while we were waiting for our coffee.
I looked up the binding belt enclosing me because I couldn't understand what he was saying. See, I do stuff like that. I don't just mumble fucking bullshit and hope that it sounds right. Nightshades.
And I think but also in our family, it's always been a thing growing up where we purposely change the lyrics to be silly to certain songs. I do it with the girls' songs and goofy stuff all the time just to mess with them. Here's one. I saw you with a chicken sub in your hand. Caesar with a tweezer. like the drink Caesar. For those Americans, think of a Bloody Mary. In Canada, we call it a Caesar, and
Do you
it's
want
much,
to
much
hear?
better.
And she's gonna be mortified that I'm telling you this. Do you want to hear? My favorite all-time misquoted lyrics. So
Of course.
the people that are Canadian that know the Tragically Hip, you know that song "Little Bones."
Mm-hmm.
The chorus is, "Baby, eat this chicken slow. It's full of all them little bones." Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Rochelle heard, "Baby, eat this chicken sub, soda pop, and little bombs."
And let me guess, went on for years thinking that,
Well, it
right?
came on the radio and I sang the chorus,
Yeah.
and she started dying. I'm like, "What's so funny?" You know, and then the story came out.
The next couple are some of my favorites. This is a good one. I wheeled around because I didn't hear what you had said. I saw you dancing with a gay dude up on Emo's bed. I saw you dancing
That's not even
with a
close.
gay dude. This was the first post originally. It's since kind of come down towards the bottom, but I upvoted it. You shut her ass, it comes to pass. You shut her ass, it comes to pass. So this is one that, like, do you know the words to Reba?
Yeah.
You do?
Yep.
I don't. I've never made the attempt. I've never read them. I really should. So Reba sink a boulder in the water. Reba tie a cable to a tree. Reba stuck in a game of lipstick, perfume, flypaper. Reba press a razor to a slide across a needle with a prune. Does that make any sense?
That's all accurate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So that's not misquoted at all?
Why would they post maybe the last one. I don't know the words off by heart. I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that actually, to take it back to like actual genuine music, I think that's one of the things that makes Reba such an outstanding song is that like the pacing and the vocals are like really hard to sing.
Sure. Yeah, like I get messed up every time. I had been going to like I can't even. But I think if I were to read them, I would get better. I mean, I did learn that "Countries of the World" song at one point, so I think I could. Yeah, United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Green, and El Salvador too. What else we got in here? Bag it, tag it, sell it to the butcher and the whore. Yeah, okay. Oh, to be Prince Caspian, who stops instead of me. I get so overwhelmed by olfactory hues. It's the spelling, right? It's olfactory, like smelling.
Yeah.
From Twist, I smoked an eighth for many days. Instead of I spoke your name,
nice.
I smoked an eighth for many days.
That's good.
Taste the beer for the devil's drawing near. Yeah, somebody posted the Moma Dance. Vernon down the house. What else? What else is good in here? Observing echoing footballs. Yeah, it's good.
The part that's funny, right, is that like some of the lyrics are weird. So it's, you know, you don't know what to expect. So it's like, I don't know, man. Not completely out to lunch on some of them. I just gave you a hard time because you're my buddy.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. And that's, you know, it's something that I think I rewatched Bittersweet Motel again the other night because it's just an easy watch and I like watching it. And again, I was remembering that scene where they're talking about Tom's lyrics and then Trey eventually goes into sleep.
Yep.
And I wonder if, like, I think lyrically it might be one of the early things that turns non-fans off when they attempt to listen to Phish. They find it a bit confusing and a bit weird because it's not traditional. You really have to pay attention and read between the lines in terms of what the songs are about and what's going on. It's not easy.
Okay, so here's interesting for you. You just finished telling me, and I would agree, and I think most people listen to music like this. They don't hear the words first, and now you're telling me that the words first are a turnoff. Isn't that weird?
To the people that, well, okay, yes.
Because I agree with you, right? I agree with you. I think certain lyrics, I think certain words will stick out, and you'll hear lyrics the first time you hear a song, and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? The hell was it? I want to cut your head off.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are obviously songs like that. That's a really good example. So, Way. You can't ignore those lyrics. That's not one where you're going to need 5 or 6 listens to understand what the lyrics are. So for me, if it's a band that I like and I'm listening to an album for the first time or whatever, I'm not paying attention to the lyrics. But if you were to come to me with a band that I've never heard, or, hey, check out this song,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to pay attention. And even if I don't quite get the words, the frequency, the pace, the type, you still hear the lyrics, even though you might not connect what it's about. You hear the phrasing, you hear the words that are used. I think it's a little bit too, at times, highbrow for some people. It's not basic enough. It can be complex. Obviously, they have songs that are pretty basic lyrically, but I think it's that. I don't know if I did a good job explaining it, but if you're not accustomed to listening to it and then you tack on the funny lyrics on top of some of the music, it's a bit too much, I think, for a lot of people. I think it was for me when I first started listening.
Has there ever been a band or a genre where you're like, because of the lyrics, I can't listen to this, or I don't want to listen to this?
The only thing I can really think of is, I guess, what people would label as screamo.
Yeah. And
the only reason I really ever made an attempt to listen to it was I used to work with a guy who was a lead singer in a band that toured all over North America. They were known to be really, really good in that circle.
Yep.
Still had to work as in retail. But I remember a guy that we both worked with had passed away, and a store manager, really, really great guy. One of those classic too young, too soon, couldn't happen to a better person type of story. And he worked for him, this guy that was in the band. So they've got an album coming out, and he goes, "Hey, Adam, you got to listen to my new album." And I went, yeah, for sure. He goes, "I wrote this song about Jeremy." And I went, "Oh, wow. Okay." I listened to it, and I couldn't make out a single word because it's like that kind of thing. Yeah. And then meanwhile, but people within that world understood it and know it. It's just the type of music I haven't listened to enough to really understand. It's really the only thing that's turned me on. I haven't really delved into a lot of speed rap or country or anything like that, but that's really it. How about you?
There's some metal stuff that I can't listen to. Just because I hate the content. I don't like the gore and the violence. I think it's disgusting, which is too bad because I like a lot of it for its technical. I like some of the technical stuff, but one of the things for sure, the more you get into those genres and you're like, what the hell are these people saying? And it's amazing. After a period of time, you can actually hear the lyrics.
Right.
It's almost like one of those seeing eye tricks.
Yeah, and the only thing I can really equate that to is I lived in Newfoundland for 2 years, and the accent out there is completely different from everywhere else in the rest of the country. And it took me a bit to get it. You can get by. If you showed up to Newfoundland today, you can navigate. You can understand people. But when they get drinking and get speaking very, very quickly, you get some people that have a super thick accent. I had been there for a few months. My parents came to visit. We went to dinner. A guy at the table next to us while we were at dinner leaned over and told us a joke. We all laughed when he told the joke. A few minutes later, he was finished. That man, he was finished his meal. He got up and he left. And as soon as he left, my parents turned to me and went, "Okay, so what was the joke?" And that's when I went, holy shit, I understand this and you don't. And I'm sure, like anything, like listening to Phish, the more you listen to it, the more you connect it, the more you get it, the more you understand it. I love it because it's so layered. I keep finding new things when I listen to it. But I think it would be the same if I got into, my outlook right now on country music is the very generic. It mostly all sounds the same to me. I'm sure if I spent a ton of time, I could find differences and hear it, but here's still one thumbs down. Yeah, it's not really for me. It sounds too similar amongst all the different artists, and it's almost all men. I don't know. I'll stick with my Phish any day of the week. But
it's interesting, right? Because I think the lyrics, I think Trey put it the best in the Bittersweet Mattel when he was like, I totally disagree. He's like, I think Tom's a genius. I think Tom's a genius too. There's songs that there's certain lyrics, there's certain lines that just resonate and connect and become super important parts of your life because you've heard the song so many times, you're going to get one of those ones that really, embodies how you feel right now during one of those times. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite songs lyrically from Phish? Like any that stick out that are some of your favorites or even some favorite lines?
Well, I learned how to play Reba on the guitar, and learning how to play the guitar while singing the parts, I was like, holy shit, this is really good, right? So not necessarily for the content, but for the technicality and what's required to play like that, I think is, I think that top of mind, that stood out.
Well, Trey is, and again, that I don't play, but Trey is exceptional at playing complicated licks and scales while singing over complicated lyrics.
I would agree.
And given the depth of the lyrics, how many there are in certain songs and how often they play, he very rarely flubs a line. He really rarely screws up. And when he does, whatever, band keeps going, and it's great. It's sort of a funny moment, but yeah, it's very, very impressive that he's able. I'm always blown away at what is it? I think it's Silent in the Morning.
Yeah.
And he's playing that, and he's still singing over. And Down with Disease is another one that he's constantly going and singing over it. Those are just two that stick out. But I always find that very, very impressive to be able to independently separate, almost like how Fishman can do all four limbs in separate rhythms that can connect in weird ways. It's awesome. My favorite line. It's from Rift. The passion that sparked me one terrible night.
So good.
Yeah, it shocked and persuaded my soul to ignite. And it brings me back to the first time I heard that song. Not remembering that lyric, but it really kind of came together. Awesome. So I wanted to segue into. I'm going to bring it up on my phone here. There was an interview that was released yesterday on Pollstar with Trey. Really, really good interview. Let me just get it up here. Talked about a lot of things. It was focused around the Beacon Jams and about the approach going into it, how it came about, his reservations, and kind of where they're going to go from here. So I know, we covered all the Beacon Jams. One of the things that really stuck out that I saw first, which made me go in and read this interview, was they had originally planned for Fishman to be there for 2 weeks. So he was there for week 5, which was Ghosts of the Forest. He was planned to be there for week 6, and they were going to do some different songs and some Phish songs that Trey quotes saying that he wouldn't play with anybody else other than Fishman. But what happened was he had to go home because he's going through his divorce. So I found that was interesting. And then after week 5, the morning after, when Trey had to get ready for week 6, he had everything planned because Fishman was going to be there. Then he had nothing. So he had to completely restructure. So Yem got played in week 6. Wasn't originally planned to be played. But yeah, they. So let me look at some of the good highlights in here. So one of the reservations. So somebody had introduced him to Twitch. He had never heard of it. Everyone in his life under 30 knew of Twitch, and everyone over 30 didn't really know. So he started watching it. He said, just started watching Twitch and logging on and became fans of some musicians on there and how they interacted with their fans. But then the reservation was, well, Phish is big. You're going to have thousands of people commenting on there. How are you going to be able to interact with all these? Because if you watched the messages as they were coming through, you had to be a speed reader. Like, how could you pick things out? But they were doing that, right? They were picking out comments in between songs. So his daughter, Eliza, was at every show. And she was there in front of him and using friends at home to send her and filter all the messages that were coming through. So she would kind of set them on the side and have them ready to go and then post them for the band to see, for Trey to talk about. That's kind of what was going on there. I thought there was an interesting behind the scenes thing. Almost like a curator of comments, I guess, if you will. Which was good because I think that was one of the better parts of the Beacon Jams. I mean, the music was great, but just seeing the organic conversation, the reaction to the stuff that was put on there, I thought was really, really good.
I would agree.
Sorry?
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah. What else here? So also talking about the future, like could this work with the band? So he fell in love with streaming, traded, and it sounds like imminently we're going to see him again. But for the band, it's a matter of the right opportunity. Logistically with them, it was too tough because of where they live, family and kids, and having the quarantine or the isolations leading into all of these other get-togethers, which I think we had kind of talked about. But that's been one of the biggest hurdles for them. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was he talks about how the guys in the band watched some of the Dinner and movies, and they've never seen Phish before. They are Phish, right? So for them to be on the outside looking in and to go back and look at, a show from '96 or Trey talks about how he would watch it and be like, not critical, but just interesting. He would listen to Page more or just listen to other things of the band. I think that would be really, really interesting. he talked about some songs that there was a part in here where each week they would have 20 to 40 songs that they could potentially play. And he said it was a ton of work. That once the weekend jams were done, like the week after, it was the worst week of the pandemic for him, because it was like, well, now what? What do I do? He put so much into it, got a lot out of it, and it was really tough to not be doing it anymore. But he commented on a song like "Free." They were going to play it, and he made the arrangement, did everything. It just didn't work. It didn't sound good, so they decided not to do it. So there was a lot that was tried. It sounds like in rehearsal that was tossed out. Talks about Don Hart, the guy that wrote "Time Turns Elastic" with him and helping out with all of the arrangements and stuff. But I want to get to the part. I want to read it to you about what he says about the band and going forward and what that could possibly
So,
be.
because I haven't read the interview, but here's what I'm hoping you're going to tell me. I would happily pay to have a live stream of just Phish rehearsing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just turn on the phone, and I'd be more than happy to sit there for however long you guys want to, you know, to be a fly on the wall to see, you know, how they practice and what they sound like and how that all goes. I think that would be super cool.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Me too.
Right. I was when I was watching Bittersweet Motel the other night, and you know, they're just sitting in the back, goofing around, and when he's playing, talking about Page's shirt, there's that kind of stuff is great. So
I love it.
I'll read this. So he kind of says that Trey ends answering a question with, you know, I'm hoping it's not going to be long that we're going to get together and play. It's not that long now, hopefully. And then the interviewer said, let's hope. This is Trey's answer. But I'm going to do something else. I traditionally am a little bit more restless than the other guys. My role in Phish has always been the cheerleader. Like, what do you mean we're not going to do something for Halloween? We have to. Let's just make up a band. Come on, you guys. That's always been my role. I get excited and like call everybody up. I've tried that throughout the pandemic, but there's implications. I'll give you an example. I did throw some things out about some Phish options, but the quarantine rules were so strict and you have to go by the rules. Phish is in Maine with 5 children and he's just going through a divorce right now. It's not going to happen. Page has 3 kids and he's in Vermont. We talked about doing some stuff at the barn, which, and then they quote what the barn is. Obviously, we know that. And everybody was kind of in. But what it turned out was that going from Maine to Vermont was so messed up because you had to do like 7 days on either end. It was like a 14-day commitment to play together at the barn for 1 day. It just wasn't useful. So we'll see. But as soon as it's feasible, we'll be back. And I will say this too. The amount of conversation and connection that the 4 of us have, it's really over the top at this point. It's kind of funny. We talk a lot. Because of COVID, they stream these dinner and a movie concerts. And then he kind of talks about the dinner and a movie and his perception of it. And he just never had the time to go back and watch it. So I have to say there's a secret part of me that is not just fine with, but deeply understanding the point of view of all 4 band members that we're just going to wait. Because the moment that we're back on stage together is just going to be so laughs. I can't even. I played with Paige about the barn in mid-December. We just did this big jam, and after it was over, we were both crying, like literally tears. It's so deep. After all these years, the brotherhood is just everything. The loss, the friends, the family, everything, and it just comes through the music. Something about this idea that our community is in the room with us after everything everybody has gone through is going to be ... Just tell me where to be. I'm there. I'll ride my bike with an amp on my back if you let me. So that's sort of where it's at. Obviously itching to get back in it with the band. He's restless. We know how much Trey is always loving to play. I don't know. It gives me hope. And I had read that kind of last night, this morning, closed that, and then went and read something else that Dr. Fauci is saying that, you know, hopefully concerts by fall if 70% of the population is vaccinated. That's what Fauci put out there. So I don't know what it means for 2021, but I think there's a lot of good things to take from that. I mean, the appreciation of the position that they're in, the fact that they're in a great place, like the 4 of them that they, you know, and that was evident with the chess match on New Year's Eve, how much they get along, like how much fun it is for them to be together playing. And it's going to be a big deal. The longer it goes until they play again, when they finally come back, holy shit, that's when I'll pay the $30 and watch it live that night. You know,
That's a
I think it'll be
no-brainer.
great. We'll have to get together that night, regardless of, even if you have COVID and I have COVID, fuck, we'll have a COVID party. I don't care.
Can't talk about this live, buddy. Sorry. I'm forbidden.
Oh yeah. I know. I totally understand. But
now, interesting. So, like, okay, so I don't know why my brain went here, but you read me all of that, you know, and there was a thread that it was like, hey, what parts about Phish don't you like? Somebody started that thread. I don't know if you saw that one.
No.
Yeah. Somebody started what don't you like about them? You know, he's like, yeah, you know, we're all fans, but like, what parts? And a lot of people wrote like all the Love and Light lyrics. You know, like that's been like 3.0 for the majority of all the new writing processes, right?
Yep.
It's funny because I understand both positions. Like, how do you not, you know, because Trey's obviously genuine in how he feels. How do you create angrier, darker music when you feel that way?
Right.
You know,
I don't think. I mean,
but how as a fan do you pretend, you know, that that the latest material, you know, that Soul Planet is as good as like Reba or Tweezer?
Right, or something like more, you know, or Pulsating with Love and Light. Yeah, and they're very different. But I think it's reflective of the evolution of them as people.
For sure, dude. Nobody's arguing that.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, there's there are times where you're like, okay, but I don't know, it doesn't bother me. I think you can, if you want to, and this is a big thing, a big songwriting strategy of Dave Matthews. The darker the sounding music, the more uplifting and brighter the lyrics are. So he likes to sort of contrast like a really, really dark sounding song, but the lyrics are actually very, very positive. I don't know. I think there's ways to do it if you want to do it, but if you don't want to do it, you shouldn't have to do it. It's up to them.
But that's the point, right? They don't want to do it, so fuck it.
Yeah, and you know, sure, we'd all love to like to sort of step into a time machine and kind of make it happen, but it what's the term that I'm looking for? I think it's naive to think that a band shouldn't change or that they shouldn't evolve or try new, different things. Think if it were you, you're not doing the exact same stuff in your work day to day as you were 10, 11 years ago. You've evolved. You've found new ways to innovate. You've got new practices, new technology you can use to bring into the fold. Whatever it might be, they're doing the same thing. But make no mistake, it's still Phish. It's still identifiable. It's not like they're, you know, U2 is making a departure into disco for a little bit in 1997. It's nothing like that. I don't know. I like where it's at, but I get it. When we talk about the you know, the Fishiest Phish songs, virtually none of them are 3.0.
But I don't know, man. I think part of it too is just the nostalgia of what it was like back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think like when we talk about like the 1.0 shows or that stuff, I think it's just remembering the whole scene and where you were at and what it felt like to be, you know, for us like in college with like nothing else to do, not in a pandemic where we're like, shit, how am I gonna pay my fucking bills? You know, stuff like that. I think that's a big part of it. You know, I think people are genuine in the fact that they like that stuff better, but they shouldn't have to create it. It is what it is.
Yeah. And look, the fact that the band is still touring, I mean, clearly not right now, but they're making efforts and they still play those songs. They're part of the rotation. They haven't put it away. It's still part of the Phish world. I don't know. It'll never go back to how it was. And in a weird way, it shouldn't. Not in a weird way, it just shouldn't. Good for them moving forward and creating new music and bringing people, new stuff in.
Like, dude, it was called the Phish Conquers America tour for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you watch like those early interviews and even like Bittersweet Motel, you know, that part where Trey's like, you know, we're having the best tour we had in years and nobody really cares. And you can like feel like the, you know, like that chip on your shoulder, like the fuck you, man. Like we're killing ourselves. This shit is awesome and you don't care. I'm going to stick it to you. That, you know, that's 1.0 Phish versus I'll drive with an amp, even though he would have drove with an amp on his back then.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have families and you're grateful for like all the stuff that you've done and people have died that you love.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, now he's got his daughter curating all the comments in front of him versus, you go back and you listen to one of these game show or the Gamehendge shows from 1994, and Sue was pregnant. They didn't even have a kid yet. Totally different life.
Yeah, man.
And, we talked about the ascension up the mountain. Not to say that they're on their way back down, but, when you think about everything, look at the Phish history in the mid 90s, the way that they were climbing and peaking and, going, those 8-9 years were just absolutely incredible. I was thinking yesterday, because I'm listening to 2010 and I'm at the end of June. And it's funny that, my first show was in 2000. 2010 to me doesn't seem like that long ago, right? It's 11 years. But in 2010, 1999, the same amount of time would have felt like a shit ton of time ago. Yet the gap in between, in terms of the amount of shows that are played, if you look at like 2000 shows and 99 up to 2010, there's not that many shows in between because of the breaks. Yet the sound changed so much in that time. It's just been funny kind of looking at the timelines. Now it's sort of playing tricks on my brain. The longer you get away from something, it doesn't really seem like it's that long ago, but at some point it did. Time turns elastic, as you know. Right?
I think your master plan is to bring up Time Turns Elastic every time we talk.
Well, no, it's probably they've only played it once in 2010 so far. I'm at June 29th, I want to say. So I'm kind of right in the middle of the summer tour. And I know the last time it's been played is in October of that year. So it's going away. It's clearly going away. Even in this tour, once after about 15 shows. So it's even after the first year of 2009, they put it on the back burner a bit in 2010 and then eventually killed it off. And the last time that it played, you could hear the fan reaction was mediocre at best. It just didn't have that same kind of pop that you typically get. So I don't know.
If you could only listen to 1 year of Phish for the rest of your life, what year would you pick? What's your favorite year?
Right now, I'd have to say 2019.
Yeah,
because I love everything off of Sigma Oasis. I love the 3.0 songs. The 2019 tour, or year, I guess, even if you go back to the Mexico shows all the way up to the New Year's run, it's just great. There was a bit of everything in there. Some really, really good jams. The catalog went really, really deep. I don't know, and I guess it's the latest because it would be the most complete. It would have all of the songs.
Yeah.
If not then, if I had to pick like a year from yesteryear, I haven't gone through. I mean, I'm going in order, and I'm only in 2010, but I would say 99.
Me too.
99.
99 up to the break in 2000.
Yeah.
Like
that's probably fair.
I know I'm technically jumping years, but I would like do a year from like the last show to a year before then.
Gotcha. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll get a great tour in 2021 or 2022. But it's encouraging. Hopefully, one day it's going to happen, and we'll be there in some fashion. I hope.
We will.
Anyway, all right, man. Anything else from you this week?
Nope. All good.
All right, sir. Okay, everybody, keep telling your grandparents. That's the rule. You know how to do that. Tell your aunts and uncles. Great aunts and uncles are also really interested in what you're up to, so tell them. But thanks for listening. Yeah, obviously not. Thanks for listening. Stay safe out there, everybody. And just remember, we're one day closer to hearing Phish again, right?
For the next
day.
day.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye.